All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of D&D, Designing New to the Dragons. Join me as we delve into the world of Cypher to discover a new character. So, if you've been watching my channel for a little bit, I'm thinking this is the format that I'm gonna stick with for this, where I will have a discovering new dragons episode on a Monday, and then the next Wednesday will be designing new dragons, and then the following Monday and Wednesday will be designing the new dragons. Because I think building a single character in a system, I don't think really gives you a good feel for just what you can expect. And there's a lot of different ways to build characters, and so I think building 3 characters just feels like it fits right where I want it to be, and it fits with my upload schedule. So that's important to do. If I made, 4 videos a week or something, I would probably use a different number. Um, Anyway, so we're going to be building another Cypher character this week, but I mentioned last time I want to play around with the flavoring aspect. And I came up with a couple ideas of like, well, what would I want to flavor? And I thought about some of the old characters that I tend to make a lot of. I have a character that I tend to make in a lot of RPGs. It's actually based on one of my first Dark Souls 2 characters that I really, really liked. Because the first character I beat Dark Souls 2 with, which was my first Souls game, first one I beat Dark Souls 2 with was was a monk. I used cestices, and I just punched everything into oblivion. It was super fun. By the way, blunt damage remarkably useful in Dark Souls 2. I'll just put that out there. The second one I made was actually based on a D&D character I had played, or no, I think they inspired each other eventually. But so this character's name was Talduin, and there's a sword in Dark Souls 2 that they haven't come up with one for any of the games yet, the sequels since then, nor in Elden Ring, and it pisses me off. But there's a sword called like the Blue Sword or something like that. It dropped from these really, really annoying ghost things. And the cool thing about it was a sword that also acted as a catalyst. So you could cast spells from the sword. And it actually had a lot of PvP uses because catalysts in Dark Souls 2, the spell comes from the top of the staff. That's what catalysts are. They're staves or staves, whatever they are. But for this one, the cast would actually come out of the hilt, which is where your hand is. So it actually changed the height of things. And it was a cool thing. I got 2 of them, and in Dark Souls 2, you can dual wield any pair of one-handed weapons as long as you have the stats for it. You had this dual wielding stance. I think they called it power stance or something. So I would dual wield these swords and cast spells as I was just carving through people. So that became kind of my default sword mage style character. Oh no, I know who he was based on. He was based on my sword mage because they shared the same name. But he was nothing like my sword mage because my sword mage could teleport and do all these cool things, and this guy was just a dual wielding badass with magic. And so I thought about trying to build that character, but we've already built one of my previous characters before. And the more I thought about the flavoring, like the flavoring really does kind of turn into, okay, I have a very specific idea of a character in mind, and I'm going to use the flavoring to do it. And without, like, I thought about doing this maybe live and getting input from you guys, but that takes like coordination and planning. And so I thought the best thing that I could do is I'm going to let fate decide. This is a D4. This is actually my, I think I've shown it on here before. This is my dragon dice. I call them my dragon dice because, as you can see, they're green with gold on them, which is the Green Ranger colors from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And his Zord was the Dragon Zord, so I call these my dragon dice. And so I'm actually going to use my dragon dice to decide the type and the flavor. I can't roll dice for the descriptors and the foci because there's like close to 100 foci, and there's like 50 descriptors or something like that. And I don't have dice that are big enough to do that, nor do I want to have to count. If I get like a 67, I don't want to have to count 1, 2, 3, 4. So those I will kind of base off of the type and flavor. But we are going to let random chance choose the type and flavor. And then we'll kind of create something interesting going there. So first off, let's go here. And oh, good. It's already kind of defaulted to it. Me likey. So there are 4 types. So we're going to use a D4 to figure out what's our type going to be. 1. So we are going to be a warrior. Okay, so warrior. And then for our flavor, there are 5 flavors. I do not have a D5. But I do have a D6, so I'm going to roll a D6. We get a 6, we just re-roll. So, we get a 5. So 5 is skills and knowledge flavor. And I guess it doesn't really matter now, but I did make the kind of decision that, like, if I got combat flavor for the warrior, because that warriors are already combat flavored, I would re-roll the flavor for that. But skills and knowledge, not a warrior thing. So we're going to go skills and knowledge. Okay, so now we need to look at what we got. So let's go to the warrior first and let's get the basics, because the thing that's going to change with the warrior is going to be the abilities that you choose. That's what the flavoring changes. So let's start off with our starting pool starting values. We've got 10, 10, 8. Now, the interesting thing about the warrior is warrior can have a might edge of 1 and a speed edge of 0, or you can have a might edge of 0 and a speed edge of 1. So you can actually kind of specialize in either speed or might. Because I haven't quite looked at the speaker, I'm actually going to wait to choose where I'm going to put my edge until I've chosen my abilities from the warrior and the skills and knowledge of a flavor, just because I can. You know, we're going to be flavoring it. We've decided that already, so we're just going to wait on that. So we'll come back to that. But as far as, let's go down here real quick. We have a limit of 2, not that. Let's just do 2. We have 2 ciphers. Ooh, really? Okay. So we have maximum of 2 ciphers at a time. Weapons, not going to worry about, or let's see, practice light, medium, heavy weapons, and severe, no penalty when using any kind of weapons. So, I don't have a weapon inability. Like the other 2 characters we've made, we've put in a weapon inability. Warriors can use any kind of weapons. And now we get to go into the special abilities. So the way that using a flavor works in the Cypher system. The warrior can pick 4 abilities from the following. So they are Bash, Combat Prowess, Control the Field, Improved Edge, No Need for Weapons, Overwatch, Physical Skill, Practiced in Armor, Quick Throw, Swipe, Trained without Armor, and that's all of them. So that's what we could get for our first tier warrior. The way that flavoring works is you go to the flavoring, and skills and knowledge flavor for first tier skills and knowledge abilities. We have what's it look like? Looks like we have 5 different skills and knowledge ones. We have interaction skills, investigative skills, knowledge skills, physical skills, travel skills. So what this does is, if we want to use one of these for flavor, we actually have to replace one of the skills in here. So let's say we decide we're going to replace Bash. That means going forward, my particular warrior, my flavored warrior, will never have the ability to use the Bash or to get the Bash ability. Because there's later on you can try and get abilities and stuff like that. But we're permanently going to this version of a warrior, which we're going to call a skilled warrior for right now. We can come up with a better name once we figure out what we're doing with it. Doesn't have the ability to bash or something like that. So that's how it's meant to work. In practical use, it's not quite as limiting as it sounds, because again, you can choose 4 of, I think, what, 12 different abilities. So if you just pick the ability that you're obviously not ever going to choose for this particular character, it doesn't change much. But if you use this flavoring to effectively make a new type, you can kind of finalize the type by going, well, we're going to put these things in there, we're going to take these things out, so that if someone else wanted to play a character similar to yours, they could just use this new type, which again we're calling a skilled warrior right now, but we'll come up with something better for that. So because we are definitely using skills and knowledge, I want to see exactly what they use. I believe they're probably all enablers, but I'm going to start with interactive. What was it? Man, my brain is just so bad. Interaction skills. That's what it's called. Interaction skills. There we go. You're trained in 2 skills in which you are not already trained. Choose 2 of the following: deceiving, persuading, public speaking, seeing through deception, or intimidation. You can select this ability multiple times. Each time you select it, you must choose 2 different skills. Enabler. So yeah, this just gives me more skills. So what this is sounding like is every one of these is just going to give me more skills. This is the skills and knowledge flavor is going to be very much more of a what do you call it? A skills hound, I guess, is what I've heard it called. Where basically, their thing is they can do a lot of things and they're very good at it. So interaction skills, this is basically talking good. Investigative skills. So you're trained in 2 skills, which you already trained. Choose 2 of the following: perception, identifying, lockpicking, assessing danger, or tinkering with devices. So that could be kind of cool if you want to be a little bit more kind of stealthy focused. Knowledge, the ones that we're looking at, starts with a K. Know the unknown, knowledge of law, knowledge is power, knowledge skills. So choose 2 areas of knowledge. This is history, geography, archaeology. So this is just overall knowledge in general if we want to be kind of a more of a brainiac style character. Physical skills, let's see. And again, skills in the Cypher system are not a set defined thing. Like in DnD, there is a set number of skills you can have, and they're all very, very clearly defined. In the Cypher system, there is no set number of skills, and there's nothing that specifically says, oh, well, stealth is a speed skill or anything like that. No, you have, if you're trained in stealth, then if you're trying to do something stealthily, that gives you an asset, or wow, what is it? My brain has just completely forgotten what the 2 things. It eases any check that's related to stealth. So yes, it could be, you're trying to sneak around and not be seen and say, okay, well, that's speed. Or maybe you're just trying to lift, like you're in a situation where you're trying to get out of somewhere stealthily, and something heavy has fallen on one of your friends, or they've gotten trapped somewhere, and you literally have to, as quietly as you can, try and lift it so that you don't get everyone else. Well, that would be a might action, but you go, well, because I'm trying to do it stealthily, can I use my stealth skill? Yes, that means you get to ease the check by 1 point, or if you're specialized, you ease it by 2 levels. So that's one of the things I really, really like about the Cypher system is you're not going to be limited to a single pool of, okay, well, the skill is exclusively going to be this, and if you can get creative, you can do really, really cool things. So I'm a very, very big fan of that. I've completely forgotten what I'm doing. Was it physical skills? Yeah, physical skills starts with a P. PH. Physical skills, physically gifted. There we go. Bouncing, climbing, jumping, running, or swimming. Physical skills already feels like something that a warrior would be good at. So for me, I don't really like that. And then travel skills. Gotta know what travel skills are. TR, travel. Train Slayer. That's kind of cool. Travel. There we go. Navigation, riding, running, piloting, or vehicle driving. That's kind of cool. I like that too. So, as far as this character that we're making, now that we've seen kind of what these different things do, and we know that what they're going to do is they're going to give us some extra skills that we're more good at. I kind of like. I'm leaning a little bit towards the investigative skills, just because I think it would be cool to have a kind of a fighting detective style character. You know, your old kind of film noir where they can, you know, investigate stuff, but they also have a gun and they'll get into bar fights and stuff like that, you know. That style of character I think would be pretty cool, and I think we can build that with this. So I think we're definitely going to take investigative skills. We just have to figure out which ability we're going to get rid of for that. And, well, what is combat prowess? Let's see what this is. You have +1 to one type of weapon attack of your choice, melee weapon attacks or ranged weapon attacks, enabler. That one, to me, that's kind of boring. So I think, yeah, let's get rid of combat prowess. We don't need them to be super, super powerful. And we're going to replace that with... we're going to replace that with investigative. It's not that hard to say, so investigative skills. I don't want to capitalize that because why not? Stop doing that. And that's page. Oh, that's real close. It's page 37. And that is going. Oh wait, no, it's 155. Sorry. Good. And then the skills that we're going to choose from that. I get 2 of these, so. I mean, if you're going to be a private eye, perception is a must. We get 1 more. You know, if we're going to be a private eye, I like the idea of lockpicking. You know, someone that, you know, it's not exactly legal, but if I need to get into a place and I don't want people to know that I'm there, I'm going to pick the lock and then going to show very little sign of entry. You know, not let them know. You know, if I break the door handle, everyone's going to know I've been there. If I pick the lock, yeah, if you investigate it, you might find scratches on the lock or something like that. But it's significantly more difficult to figure out. So I like that. Lock picking. We'll do that. So those are investigative skills. Now, theoretically, you can replace... You can use as many or as few of... I'm going to roll back up here just so I have... There we go. You can use as many or as few of the flavor skills as you want. For right now, I think bare minimum we should use kind of a half and half. So we've done that. What else do we want to do? I actually... Just because I'm that kind of guy. Quick throw, I could kind of get into. After using a light thrown weapon, you draw another light weapon, make another thrown attack against the same target or a different one. Action. So this basically allows me to attack twice, throw a couple daggers or whatever you want to do. I like the idea of quick throw. So I think we're going to do that. So we're going to go quick throw. So that's what our particular private eye is. Gedai doesn't carry a gun, but he does tend to have things on him that he can throw. Whether that's, you know, he might, and this is the thing that can make it really interesting. Like when I make throwing based characters, my first thought is cards, because I like Gambit. But in the same effort, you don't have to use cards or darts or knives, because those are things that would be very difficult to get into a lot of places. But what if their specialty was just throwing throwing little ball bearings or meditation balls or things like that. Things that look fairly innocuous. Like you go in somewhere, and as they're patting you down there, wait, what's this? It's like they're meditation balls. They're worry balls. You move around. They're that. So I think like having this particular character kind of focus on just being able to pick up everyday objects and use them as weapons, I think would be pretty cool. I'm not sure if there is something that gives us that ability, but that's kind of what I'm thinking here. Like he just tends to carry around small, like even just like sling bullet type things. Like he just always happens to have small objects on him that have a decent enough weight that he can use them as weapons. I like that. I think that's cool. So quick throw is 174. So we got that. So the question now, do we want to do another? I think I kind of want to give him interaction skills too. If we're going to make a private detective, I think interaction skills would work really well too. So I think, if that's what we're doing, we're creating kind of a warrior. We're going halfway between a fighter and an inquisitor. So let's go full in. We'll do interaction skills, and funnily enough, it's actually on the exact same page as the other one because they're both I words. And the two things we're going to get from that, I think seeing through deception is something a private eye would have. And then we've already got lockpicking in there. We're already kind of flirting with the law, so deception just makes sense to me. We're trained in that. So I like that. I think that's cool. So now we've done two. We have to figure out what we're getting rid of for that, though. And I think what is swipe? What does swipe do? Swipe or no swiping? So this is a quick, agile melee attack. Your attack inflicts one less point of damage than normal, but dazes your target for 1 round. Since we've already kind of built this guy, so he's going to be a little bit more ranged, I think we can get rid of swipe. I like swipe. I think it's kind of cool. And again, I'm a big fan of like stunning strike and stuff, which is kind of what swipe does. But we're gonna replace swipe with interactions as a skills. So we get one more. What does Overwatch mean? Overwatch. Use a ranged weapon to target a limited area, such as doorway, hallway, or use design or clear, to make an attack against the next viable target. This works like a wait action, but you also negate any benefit the target would have from cover positions. Blah, 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 blah. Further, you inflict 1 additional point of damage with the attack. You can remain on Overwatch as long as you wish, within reason action. So that one's kind of interesting. And as far as like ranged, like it says ranged weapon, and again, if we want to get into conversations about, well, what is a ranged weapon versus a melee weapon? Is a thrown weapon considered a ranged weapon? Again, Cypher is not really the system for that kind of arguing. It is meant to be very pliable and very, okay, well, because again, if we were doing this in DnD, I have a throwing-based character that I actually play in a campaign. I have played it, I think, once or twice now, because getting people together is hard. But I'm not DMing, so that's nice. So anyway, in order for all of my feats and everything to work, I actually have to use darts. That's what I've reflavored for my cards for that character, is they're darts, because they are ranged weapons, but they are thrown ranged weapons. So in something like that, you know, if you had to get into an argument with someone that was really going to be, you can say, well, there are ranged weapons that are designed to be only thrown. And I like the idea of Overwatch. It uses an intellect point, which is interesting because it's not something we do. And again, if we're thinking about this kind of Private Eye style character, I think the idea of them being able to just kind of sit back and wait for someone to show up and then attack, I think it makes sense. So yeah, let's do that. So we're gonna go Overwatch, and that is what page are we on? 168. Okay, so we've picked our 4 abilities because Quick Throw uses our speed. I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna take the speed edge, and we're gonna do 0 and 0. We will pick the rest of the points again after after we do our descriptor and focus. But I'm liking where this character is going right now. So we'll have to come up with a really cool name for this type. But overall, I think this will be a cool character. So we're done with that for right now. Let's go to descriptors. So again, I'm not going to look at the actual mechanical benefits of them. I'm going to look at the words themselves and see exactly what I think would be the most fun. So there is one of the descriptors is intuitive or inquisitive. Like an inquisitive warrior would kind of make sense. I wonder if that would. Well, let's look at it. Let's look at inquisitive. Inquisitive. I'm just going to see if there's going to be a lot of overlap with what we already have. Interesting. So this actually hinders initiative, and it also hinders your any task to hear or notice danger around you. So from a mechanical standpoint, inquisitive is going to cause a little bit of issue for me personally for the character we've created, so I'm probably not going to go there. However, intuitive might work really, really well because it gives us training and perception to the tasks. And I believe the way this thing works is if you train something that's already trained, it turns into specialized. And at least that's how I'm going to do it. Someone that is more knowledgeable of Cypher than I am, you can go ahead and school me in the comments down below. But I believe that's how it works. So that's what I want to do. And I want to go intuitive. Intuitive. And I like having capital letters. All right, so we're going to be intuitive. So that means perception now goes to specialized instead of trained, which I like. Gives us a +2 to our intellect pool, so it brings our intellect up to 10. So now we're 10, 10, 10. And then we have know what to do, which is basically you can act immediately even if it's not your turn. Afterwards, on your next regular turn, any action you take is hindered. You can do this one time, although the ability is renewed each time you make a recovery roll. So it's basically a once per short rest kind of thing, but I like it. Know what to do. And that's going to be page 49. I think that is a very, very cool character. Because the intuitive warrior, and again, we're going to come up with a better name for this warrior. But intuitive warrior, we just need to focus now. I think this is a cool character, guys. I'm liking it. So, focus. Let us... I don't need choosing focus. I actually need the list of the focuses. All right, so... Do you actually give me a list? Nope, you just go into it. So I'm going to use the bookmarks. All right, so let's come up with something interesting. So I mean, there's your more supernatural stuff like controls gravity or crafts illusions, which could be kind of cool. Um, Entertains exists in two places at once. That actually could be kind of interesting. How does that one work? Exists in two places at once. So you exist in two places at once. Duplicate. So what does duplicate? Duplicate. There we go. It's a might based ability, so that's kind of cool. You cause a duplicate of yourself to appear at any point you can see within short range. The duplicate has no clothing or possessions when it appears. Duplicate is a level 2 NPC with 6 health. Duplicate obeys your command and does as you direct it. The duplicate remains until you dismiss it using an action or until it's killed. When the duplicate disappears, it leaves behind anything he was wearing or carrying. If the duplicate disappears because it is killed, you take 4 points of damage that ignore armor. You lose your next action. So that's kind of cool. I could have a double, which, again, as an investigator, that could be very, very useful. You can send them in. You'll still take a little bit of damage, but there are worse things that could happen than taking a little bit of damage. So that I'm into that. Let's see what else we've got. There's also exists partially out of phase. How did I? There we are. A bit transition. You're slightly out of phase. You can move through solid objects. That could be a very, very useful thing for a private investigator. So tier 1, I walk through walls, which is an intellect again. You can slowly pass through physical barriers at a rate of 1 inch per round. Minimum of 1 round to pass through any barrier. You can't act other than moving or perceive anything until you pass entirely through the barrier. You can't pass through energy barriers. That could be really, really interesting for an investigator if I could just walk through walls. So I'm kind of interested in that. There's also focuses mind over matter. So divert attack, which takes 4 speed points. For 1 minute, we're going to try that again. For 1 minute, you automatically deflect or dodge any ranged projectile attacks. However, on your next turn after you're attacked with ranged projectiles, all your other actions are hindered. Action to initiate. So this basically... So the description they give for focuses mind over matter, you can telekinetically move objects with your mind without physically touching them. So this is effectively, at tier 1, you don't have full-on telekinesis. You can kind of go and kind of move bullets out of your way. Which again, for this particular character, could be kind of cool. But eventually you get things like telekinesis and stuff like that. I want to see some of the other stuff that you get at later to the tiers. Cloak of Opportunity. That's kind of cool. Basically create like a protective shield of just stuff floating around you, which would fit really, really well. And this is a very kind of intellect-focused thing. Well, it does speed too. Everything about this is kind of cool. I think I like focuses mind over matter. So we're going to be a psychic detective. So focuses mind over matter. Okay, so, and that gives us divert attacks. She's going to be on, don't do that. Going to be on divert attacks 1 to 30. Okay, so now we've got kind of an interesting character here. We're specialized in perception, trained in lockpicking, seeing through deception, and deception. So not only are we good at seeing when people are lying, we can lie back to them better than they can lie to us, which I really enjoy. Focuses mind over matter. And so we need to figure out where to put our 6 points. we've already mentioned this is going to be a decently kind of intellect-based character. So I think if we go 3 and 3 here for 13 and 13, we just leave might alone. I think that'll fit pretty well because the character itself is going to be about staying back because they throw stuff. So dealing with melee attacks is probably not something they're going to deal with too often. And yeah, as they get bigger and more powerful, we will probably kind of specialize in throwing stuff while also being able to do cool stuff. And I can't imagine being mildly psychic or mildly telekinetic is going to make it more difficult to be a private eye. I think it'd be significantly better. So yeah, this is kind of a speedy psychic detective. So yeah, we need to come up with a name for this. What are we gonna? Well, let's look at because we need to pick weapons and stuff like that. So we can close that. Let's go back to warrior. Let's see what you. So appropriate clothing and 2 weapons of your choice, plus 1 expensive item, 2 moderately priced items, and up to 4 inexpensive items. I'm thinking this is still going to be kind of modern feeling. And I have not seen, again, if someone is more familiar with Cypher than I am, and you know a place where they actually have like a generic equipment list or something, I would be very interested in hearing that, because the only lists of equipment I've been able to find have been in the genres. Because we've done a modern, we've done a fantasy. I'm gonna go science fiction, so we're gonna be, the psychic aspect of it and everything. I think this kind of fits, kind of interesting and cool. So I want to see, because they're not going to have, because the weapon that we want is not going to be here. See what they have for. All right, so inexpensive items. Energy pack, knife, simple, light weapon, hunting knife, grenade, leather jack, bag of heavy tools, bag of light tools. Trying to see if they've got something. A needler, that's kind of cool. Shotgun, stun stick. Carry environmental suit, wrist computer, heavy blaster, battle suit. Okay, so we're going to make an item for this, guys, because nothing in here feels like nothing in here feels like it fits what I want to be a so we're going to, the weapon that we're going to choose, let's see, what do we want for his kind of main weapon to just give him something unique and make him feel cool. Let's say let's just say bag of large ball bearings. Or not large, let's call them medium. Because you don't want small ones, because those really wouldn't do much damage being thrown. Like, you could fire them through a BB gun, and they'll do a little bit of damage. But you want something, no, let's call them large. Something that'll actually do some decent damage. And we're still going to call that a light weapon. So it's going to do 25 damage. Nope, it's going to do 2 damage. Because that's still, I would still consider that a light weapon. That has a short range. So, light weapon, short range. So we made that up. That's the weapon that we're going to do. And then let's go to our equipment real quick here. All right. So, and I think that we can call, like ball bearings, I think we can call that an inexpensive. So we have 1 inexpensive. So, bag of large ball bearings. So that's our first thing. So what else do we got? Go back to warrior. So starting equipment. Appropriate clothing and 2 weapons of your choice. I'm supposed to get another weapon. Will come up. You know, let's just because it would make sense, because this is what most people would think. And I think for this particular character, I think it would make sense for him to actually have like throwing knives, or a knife that he can throw. So we're going to just call it throwing knife for our second weapon. But I think with this particular character, the reason he has this particular knife, or maybe a couple knives on him, is particularly, like, specifically so that they can be found. So people will see knife and they're like, oh, what's this? It's like, oh, you can have that, don't worry. And then he'll just have like they'll find some weird metal balls on him. It's like, they're worry balls. And he'll kind of like move them around in his hand. See, it works like this. I have anxiety. So, the fact that he has knives, he'd probably be pretty good with his knives. But he doesn't actually use them. They're simply there for him to be disarmed. I like that idea. But because it is a weapon, I am still going to put it on here. So, throwing knife. And that's the nice thing about building items and like generic things in the Cypher system, is you have to decide what kind of weapon they are, light, medium, or heavy. And that will tell you how much damage they do. And then any special properties, like this is a thrown weapon. So just go light thrown weapon. And again, it'll be short range. I understand that throwing a knife and hitting a target 50 feet away is a pretty impressive throw. But again, when we're talking about a hero-style character, that's not that crazy. I mean, if you look at D&D rules, you can throw a dagger. 20 feet is the short range and 60 feet is the long range. So I think this kind of makes sense to me. And again, it's a light weapon, so we're going to go 2. And we're going to go light. I want to put thrown in there just to be on the safe side. So, okay, so we've got those 2. We got our 2 weapons to be our warrior. What else do we get? We have a so we've got detective clothes. We'll put that on there. I haven't put clothes on any of them, but there's something we're supposed to be putting in. And then plus 1 expensive item, 2 moderately priced items, and up to 4 inexpensive items. So let's go back to science fiction. And we go here. So expensive items. You got blasters, stuff like that. I think lightweight body armor would kind of make sense for this guy. Like if he is going in places he's not supposed to. This is the first time I've actually put armor on a character. And for me, it just makes sense for that. So we can just say lightweight body armor. Another thing that's kind of interesting is that I've built 2 characters in this already, and I've never used armor on them. I'll show you how to. Well, I can show you right now how to deal with armor. So there is a place on your worksheet, armor details and speed effort cost. I have to remember armor. You can wear only 1 type of armor at a time. Can't wear Light armor is moderate price, medium armor is expensive, heavy armor is using armor. Anyone can wear armor, but it can be taxing. So medium armor, speed effort, additional cost per level for medium armor is +2. So that means if I try to add effort to something speed related, and all of my attacks are going to be speed related, I would have to. Effort normally costs 3. Medium would mean effort would cost 5. So first level of effort plus 2 for the second level. Yeah, okay, so I think for that reason, I may just go with, instead of that being our expensive item, leather jacket would be light armor, and that'll be a little bit better. So I'll go back and fix it there. So we're just going to leather jacket, which is our light armor. And again, I have to... Okay. Just, come on, this is not that hard. The first category is price armors. 2 more at a time. This is not that hard. Why are you not telling me equipment, currency, and prices? I believe light armor counts as a 1. You subtract 1 from it. Practice with the armor. Alright, hold a second, because I have to look at this, because I haven't dealt with armor yet. I just want so that's just weapons. And practiced in armor. Hold, please. Sorry about this. I know this is massively boring, but I have to figure out how to do this. Yeah, so I believe armor because it's light armor, it should give you a 1. This is annoying me because it shouldn't be this difficult for me to figure out exactly what light armor does. Armor 202. That's not helping. Because it doesn't actually tell me in the armor section what Beastskin grants 2 to armor, because it doesn't tell me what light armor does. Come on, let's go L. HIJKL. Light weapons, of course it doesn't. Alright, we're gonna go to combat then. Taking action, efforts, assets, rolling the dice. I swear to you I know what this is, but because my brain is just so stupid, damage. Armor, okay. Light armor gives the wearer 1 point of armor, medium gives 2, and heavy gives 3. I don't know why they only list this in the combat section and not in the section specifically titled armor, but sure. So, now I have a problem with the book. So, leather jacket, it's light armor, so it gives me an armor 1, meaning anytime I get hit, I'm going to take 1 off of it. But it does mean that I'm... all my speed stuff is going to be a little bit more difficult. They have a thing that you can get called you have an ability you can get called practiced in armor, but that doesn't really fit with this. So yes, speed things will be slightly more difficult. Worse things have happened. So cool, we've got that. I'm being slightly annoyed with this because, again, if I have to look in, and this is another thing for anyone building your own books right now, if I have to look in 4 different places to figure out what one item does, because the list of items that you can use is in the genre section, but what those items do is in the armor section, which is in the equipment section, but it doesn't actually tell you how much damage it reduces. That's in the combat section. That is 3 different places that I have to look to figure out what leather armor does, because the only place it talks about the effort cost is in the equipment section. But the only place where it talks about where the damage reduction is in the combat section. And the only place where it actually lists what kind of armors exist is in the genre section. So, yes, repeat things in your books. You know, if or at least in the index, when I looked up armor, it only gave me the equipment section. So, did not help me in any way, shape, or form. That's my little rant. So, you've got that. What else are we supposed to do with this character? So, lightweight body armor is a moderate item. Detective clothes we don't count. Throwing knife is a moderate. That's inexpensive. So, I should have one more expensive. Let's go back. Shut that. Shut that. Let's go back to science fiction. Okay, cool. So I should. I still need an expensive item. And one of the expensive items is a wrist computer. That feels right for me. Wrist computer. I like that. So that's our expensive item. Supposed to have two moderate items. Leather jacket is a moderate item. And the hunting knife is a weapon, so it doesn't count against that. So I get one more. Remarkably enough, lockpicks are not something that they have in here. But they do have crowbars and bags of heavy tools and bags of light tools. So I'm going to say lockpicks are going to be my other moderate item, and then I can have up to 4 inexpensive ones. So we're definitely going to go... Oh, wait. Nah, you know what? He's actually not going to use a backpack. So we're going to have a flashlight, and then... They have next to nothing for inexpensive items. So flashlight, and then we're just going to go... rations for 3 days. We're going to call those nutrient bars because it's science fiction. So rations for 3 days. That gives us our 4 inexpensive items. That's what we're supposed to have. Cool. So let's go back. We need to have a name for this guy. What do we want to use for a name? And again, I want to rename the warrior to something cool for this new type that we've just created. So let's start with a name. Name for this character. Wow, has it been an hour that we've been doing this? That's incredible. I didn't think it'd take that long to build this character. All right, so, what do we want to call him? I am, like, I just was, because this is how my brain works, I saw, like, a recap of the Dark Tower movie, and I did this little bit of deep dive into the Dark Tower series by Stephen King, which is an amazing, amazing series. And I'm stuck on the name Roland. So we're going to name him Roland. And warrior is his type, but we're going to come up with a better name for it. So a detective, an action detective. Let's go... I'm going to try Inquisitor Sino... Let's try that. That is not the website I'm used to looking at. There we go. Alright, so interrogator, investigator. Yeah, I mean we could call it an aggressive investigator. I bet you I spelt that wrong. No, maybe it is 2 G's. I don't know. I failed spelling so often. So we're going to... aggressive investigator. And that is way too long for that. And it doesn't shrink it down. So we're going to call it a warrior here. But the focus... since we have plenty of... or not the focus, the type flavor other. I'm going to call this aggressive investigator. Aggressive investigator. That is our actual type. The class here that we've just created is the aggressive investigator. So yeah, what we've got for might, we've got 10, speed 13, intellect 13. And this is our Roland is an intuitive, aggressive investigator who focuses mind over matter. I guess aggressive investigator, though, has an adjective in it, so maybe we'll just call it investigator. Or instigator, maybe? Detective. Let's check. Let's see if they've got better. Detective. Private eye. Rescue reporter. Sleuth. I want something that feels... Bloodhound. Ooh, I like that. I think, yeah. I don't think you're going to have enough space here, so Bloodhound. Nope, it'll still cut it off. That's slightly annoying about this character sheet, but we're going to call him a Bloodhound. Because that does give you, you know, the idea of investigator and stuff like that. But it also has that kind of aggressive accent. You know, blood is in the word and everything, so we call him a Bloodhound. So Roland is an intuitive Bloodhound who focuses mind over matter. And actually, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go Bloodhound, because I can put that there. And then this is going to go warrior with skills and knowledge flavor to kind of pair it off. So here it is. Roland is an intuitive bloodhound who focuses mind over matter. Which I think is kind of cool. And he throws, you know, balls at people, and he has a knife that he doesn't use, and he's very perceptive, and he does, you know, he's good at lying to people. I like this character. I think he's cool. Anyway, this was a little longer than I was expecting it to be, but whatever. I had fun. So, that is going to be all for me today. As always, if you enjoyed this, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, turn notifications on. All those things are super, super important in the comments down below. Do you have a better name than Bloodhound for this character? Feel free to put those in the comments down below. Otherwise, pick a type and a flavor and come up with a type for your flavored, or a name for your flavored type. Let me know what your flavored type name would be in the comments down below. Otherwise, again, this is all for me today, and I will see you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye.